Welcome to Quick Queries number 57, brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Rost. What are quick queries? Well, I get emailed questions all the time. You get comments on YouTube. I just put them all together in one video and give you my thoughts. Today, got a couple good ones. Can Access really handle 1 million records without crashing? And do real businesses use Microsoft Access? Because is it a real database? The answers to these and a lot more. Here we go. First up today, we got AJ by email. AJ says, I've been going back and forth with one of my coworkers about whether Microsoft Access can really handle large amounts of data. We've got about 10,000 customers, and each one of them might have dozens of orders. And when you start doing the math between the customer table, the orders, and all the order detail records, we'd be looking at well over 1 million rows total. My coworker says there's no way Access can handle that much. He swears he heard from some real developers, quote unquote, that once you go past 1 million records, Access is going to choke. Is that true? Or can Access really deal with that kind of volume? Well, this is one of the most common myths about Access, and it's flat out wrong. Yes, Access can absolutely handle 1 million records. In fact, I've got proof with my own personal database that runs my business. Now, before I switched over everything to SQL Server a few years back, my order detail table alone had over 900,000 records in it. And so that's the table that has, it matches the order ID with what the customer purchased, in my case, the course ID, right? So that's just the order detail table. The order table on top of that, its parent had 300,000 or 400,000 rows. And then customers, I have 50, 60,000 customers in my database. So yes, that's well over 1 million rows. And I've got all of my big tables split into their own backend ACCDB files. And that particular order detail table, if memory serves, was like 40 or 50 megabytes. It was tiny. And remember, you've got a 2 gigabyte file limit for each backend file. Now, my rows were lean. All right. They only store the order ID, the course ID, 2 numbers plus the table overhead. If you figure roughly 40, 50 bytes per row, that means you could theoretically pack tens of millions of those rows into a single 2 gigabyte database. You'll hit practical limits before then, but it shows you just how far Access can go if you keep your tables tight. Now, the people who say that Access can't handle big data usually aren't splitting their databases right, or they're dumping huge files into them, PDFs, images, attachments, all the things I say that you don't store in your Access database. You're going to run out of space fast. I had one customer that was, just kept dumping images into his database. And I'm like, you're going to, no, I had to show him how to do it properly. Also, you can run out of space if you keep everything in a single backend file or even an unsplit database. Right? So, when one table starts to get pretty large, then move it into its own backend database file. And of course, store large files outside of Access. Then 1 million rows is nothing to worry about. Now, there are real limits. Access isn't built for heavy multi-user write concurrency. So if you've got dozens of people constantly adding records, editing records, right, then Access by itself can have problems with that. SQL Server is a much better choice for that. If you've got things like, really complicated joins, no indexes, then yeah, it's going to run slow, but the actual number of records isn't really the problem. So the short answer for your coworker is yes, Access can handle 1 million records. I've done it myself. I've built databases for clients that had no problems with over 1 million records. The key is to make sure that your database is designed properly. Keep your records lean, use indexes, split your database, maintain it with compact and repair regularly. Of course, make sure you got good backups. And if you do all those things, and of course your network speed is fast, you'll be surprised how well Access performs. If you want to learn more about splitting your database, go watch this video. I'll put a link down below in the description under the video window. This video will explain to you why you don't save images in your database, and it will show you how to use them instead. Basically, you want to store them in a file folder that your server has access to, and then just save a link to where the file is. All right, watch this video for information on that. And of course, the biggest culprit of all, attachments. Don't use them. They're bad. Unless you got a really teeny tiny database that's just for yourself. And even if you have that, you're better off not using attachments. Keep all your files in a folder right, in or under your database folder. Don't No. Access isn't designed to store files inside of it. I don't know why they added this feature. Go watch this video for more. Next up, we got Samuel by email. He said, my boss won't let me use Microsoft Access because he says it's not a real database. He keeps telling me that real companies don't use Access and that it's just a toy for hobbyists or maybe something mom and pop shops would use. What can I tell him to prove that Access is a real database that serious businesses actually use? Well, I'm not going to name drop, but I have built database systems for companies that had thousands of employees. So yes, real companies do use it. And this is a giant misconception that's out there. First of all, Access is a real database system. It's a relational database management system. It's got tables, relationships, queries, SQL, forms, reports, security features. By definition, that makes it a database system. Just because it's easier to learn than SQL Server or Oracle or some other real database doesn't make it any less real. Now, Access was designed for a different purpose than those heavy-hitter enterprise platforms. SQL Server is built for thousands of concurrent users, terabytes of data. Access is meant for small to mid-sized teams who need something fast, flexible, affordable, and easy to work with. It shines in that environment. And dismissing Access just because it's not designed to run Amazon or Walmart is like saying a pickup truck isn't a real vehicle because it can't haul what a cargo ship would haul. Now, don't let anyone tell you that Access is only for hobbyists. Microsoft itself positions Access as a business solution. And there are case studies right in Microsoft's own tech community blog showing companies using Access to merge data from enterprise systems, run payroll calculations, generate reports automatically. And that's not toy work. That's real business logic driving efficiency. I like that word, efficiency. Now, it's true that many larger organizations just use Access as a front-end tool. Departments inside Fortune 500 companies will often build Access applications to sit on top of SQL Server because it's faster and cheaper to build front ends in Access than to wait 6 months for IT to spec out a custom web app or whatever you need. Right? Access gives business units control while still plugging into enterprise data. Access is a fantastic front-end tool for SQL Server. So the answer for your boss is simple. Yes, Access is a real database. It's just optimized for a different role. If you're running a small or mid-sized company, then it's often the perfect solution by itself. But if you're in a bigger company, a huge enterprise, it can still serve as a front end while SQL Server carries the back end load. Either way, Access is not a toy. It's a proven tool that still runs tens of thousands, if not more, of businesses worldwide. And I've got students in just about every country learning Access and building real tools with it. Just a quick Google search, and I found a couple of lists of big companies that use Access, maybe not as their primary database, but as a front end to their big corporate system. Yeah, there's companies on this list like Pepsi, Red Hat, North Face, lots of municipalities. So check them out, put links down below you can click on. All right, time to head over to the YouTubes. James Weaver says, I stumbled upon your videos. I'm a senior SQL developer and need a refresher on Access because I want to build a quick client database to track contacts and diary stuff for a small consulting business I'm starting. I think you are the best instructor I've ever encountered. I wish I had more like you in college. Keep up the good work. I want to thank you, James, for your kind words. I love getting comments like this. I try to keep my videos entertaining as well as informative and educational. And I just want to let you know that your kind words are appreciated. Thank you. And I wish I had teachers like me in college. I might have actually stayed in college instead of dropping out and starting my own business. But hey, I can't complain. I love what I do today. Next up, Andrew Martin says, thank you for this. He's talking about my replace an AutoNumber video. I thought it was impossible to replace a deleted AutoNumber field. This would have created major issues as my invoices and 2 jobs got deleted by mistake when a form became corrupted. I successfully managed to restore 2 deleted records using this. That's awesome. I saw something online where it said to change the AutoNumber field to number. This didn't work. Yeah, you can't do that. Once you change an AutoNumber to a regular number, you can do it once, but you can't go back. Then you're just stuck with it being a regular number. But that's the only use that I suggest for this technique that I show you is if you accidentally get a corruption or something gets deleted that shouldn't have been deleted, and you can use this technique to sneak that AutoNumber back in the table, but don't rely on it. This is like a, in case of fire, break glass emergency. But it should fix that problem. So I'm glad you got a solution. And for everybody else that doesn't know what he's talking about, it's this video where I show you how to restore a deleted auto number using an append query. Andy Lucas says on a main form he wants to get a subform that's based on a crosstab query to update to show new columns when new data is entered. Well, it doesn't matter what data is in the subform, whether it's a crosstab query or any other kind of query. All you have to do really is just requery that subform. And as far as when new data is entered, you can have that fire any number of the events, the after insert event, the after update event, or just the easiest way is just to make yourself a requery button. This video should cover that. Basically, I show you how to put like a start and end date here, and it'll requery the subform results based on your dates. But you could just easily put a button there that says, okay, this data out here has changed. Click a button, it'll requery that. It's basically subform name .form .requery. I covered that in this video. And is there a non-programming way to do it? I'm not sure. You're probably going to have to close and reopen the form. But I'd have to play with it to figure that one out. I get so used to just, everything's a programming solution, so I don't know. Sometimes when I make my videos, I try to, because I know how to do something with VBA, and then I try to, can I make a version of this for the beginners too that doesn't involve programming? Because I try to give something for everybody. But there's a lot of stuff you just can't do it without like 1 or 2 lines of code. This is literally 1 line of code. Deepak says, I am looking for VBA code to make cascading. I have one combo box field coming from a table, another coming from a query. Could you please check and help if possible? Well, I don't offer consulting advice myself. You can post questions, and if it's a good question, I might make a video out of it, or you can post it in the forums on my website. But I got lots of videos on cascading combo boxes, including that series that you're watching right there. There's several other ones on my YouTube channel and on my website too. Watch all of those. You can post it in the forums on my website if you want more help. And if you want one-on-one assistance, I do have a list of developers available and tutors on my Access Developer Network page. You can check that out too if you want someone to actually help you with your problem. Okay? I just make the videos. Next up, Rabid Follower is back. Rabid Follower used to post tons of comments, and I miss you, Rabid Follower. And it's good to see you back. He says your poll, I just did a poll of people. Let's see what what everybody wants to have me make videos on. Says many users want to see SQL Server, but then so did my last poll. That is true. It would take years to create a full course on SQL Server, just like it took you to make them for Access. That's true. So I'm not sure if it's feasible for you to do them at this point unless your students are patient. Well, a lot of them are very patient. As I said in your forum a while ago, you should have gone all in with SQL Server a long time ago. Since SQL Server is the natural progression for many Access users, I switched to SQL Server in the early 2000s and switched to a web interface as the front end, with only select users using Access as the front end. And then he talks about some other guy's comment and Visual Studio. But talking about the SQL Server thing, you are right that it took me decades to build out the full Access curriculum that I have now. And of course, an SQL Server series would be a big project too. But just because it takes a lot of time doesn't mean that I shouldn't do it. If I had thought that way when I started Access, I would have never made those lessons either. And back then, there were already plenty of other Access tutorials available online. Same thing today with Word, Excel, and everything else. But I hope that people watch my videos because they like my style of teaching. So I am planning on still doing SQL Server, but I plan on doing it my way. And it's probably not going to just be an SQL Server from scratch for people who just want to learn SQL Server. My focus is going to be on helping Access users who are outgrowing Access to migrate to SQL Server and use it effectively as a backend. That's a niche that I think really needs filling. And then maybe from there, moving into some web-based tools. I personally program everything in ASP, but I know a lot of people want something a little more graphical. Now, I know there are only so many hours in the day, but that's never stopped me from pushing forward before. I try to stay positive. I keep building one video at a time. I wouldn't have thought 5 years ago that I'd have 1,100 TechHelp videos online by now, but persistence is key. So you just do the best you can every day. Does that mean I'm going to give up and not do SQL Server? Nope. I'm still going to do it when I get some time. Access is still my forte. I'm always going to keep making Access videos. There's still so much that I haven't covered yet, even with Access by itself. But I do plan on adding some SQL Server lessons in there as well. So it's coming. It's just they need to add that 25th hour to the day. And you mentioned Visual Studio. My good friend and colleague Alex Headley did make a couple of VB.NET tutorials. They're on my website. You can find them right here. I'll put a link down below. And he covers all the basics for those of you that want to get started. I'm probably going to eventually do some Visual Studio training of my own just to put my own stamp on it. But these are really good tutorials, so check them out. Another rabid follower comment. We got 2 in one day. This is amazing. He says, if you want people to know your videos aren't just for fitness, but also topics that any user might find useful, then you may want to make your thumbnails show those topics. For instance, under Fitness Database 1, you might write table design, fields, data types, etc. Thumbnails could make or break a video, similar to movie posters in the pre-internet, pre-VHS era. You're that old? Man, I'm that old too. That could affect the movie's success. If viewers see only fitness in the thumbnail, they may not think it's for them. You are absolutely 100% correct. I've been thinking about doing that for a while with the quick queries. As you can see with today's episode, I made a slight change to the header. I started putting some of the two of the top questions here. I've been thinking about that too ever since around like fitness level 10. I was like, wait a minute, people are going to keep seeing fitness. So I'm probably going to make that change. Your comment just spurred me on. So yeah, probably the next level, I'm going to make a few adjustments to the thumbnail. So I absolutely do appreciate your comments, and please keep them coming. And again, it's good to see you. Next up, Dingus Battis in Fitness 33. I mentioned about brackets and parentheses and stuff. Essentially, you see a lot of these things online, these memes that people post these crazy, can you figure out this math equation? I posted about it in my captain's log a few weeks ago and wrote a little article about it, but basically you see stuff like this right here, right? And, the rules of operation say that multiplication and division go first together, left to right. So you do the 3 divided by 1 first, and then the 2 times 2, and then you do the addition last, right? But the problem, we got a bunch of weird ones on here that I found online, like, that's factorial, right? But the problem is, and then there's some that there aren't even a right answer. Sometimes you get, stuff that's written. Where did it go? Come back here. Right, this thing here. That's an equation that's designed to trick the child, to teach them order operations. But in the video, I emphasize that I like to write my code with extra parentheses, even if they don't apply there, even if you don't need them, right? Like if you got, 2 plus 5 times 6, yeah, the 5 times 6 goes first because of the order of operations, but I put parentheses around them in my code just to make it clearer to whoever might be reading my code in the future, including myself. So it's not to just, don't exclude the parentheses just because you don't need them. I put them there too, right? And that's what Dingus Bad was saying. It makes it more readable. It's like people, are all consumed with making their code tiny and compact and pretty, but it's not really adding much efficiency to the way your code executes. I like writing out long if-then blocks. If this, then do this, then else do that, right? Could that all be condensed into an if function? An if function? Yeah, maybe. But that's nowhere near as easy to read. I prefer my code to be easy to read. The compiler is going to do the same thing with it. It's going to run just the same speed. Make your code readable. Doesn't need to be, you're not going to win an Academy Award for most prettiest code, whatever award that applies to that. I don't know. Are there programming awards? Now I got to Google it. I hate not knowing something. I had to ask ChatGPT. I forgot there is the Turing Award. I knew about that one, but that's more about general computing than just programming. But yeah, okay, all right. I guess. Microsoft's most valuable professional. I'm in that. Yes, awesome. Next up, once in a while I get a comment like this guy, Halumlanto, whatever. I don't know how you pronounce that. He says, "Look, I would really appreciate if you would not show us a pink page. Much rather you show us normal access." Okay. Is this what you want? You want normal access? Or is that page still too pink for you? What do you think? Next up, Renee says he concurs that moving data from Excel to Access when it gets too big. He's got 2,000 rows of data, 500 columns. Yeah, that's a good size. That's about when it's ready to move over to Access. Me personally, I got some pretty big spreadsheets, but I think if it's got more than a couple hundred rows, usually for me, if it's more than fits on one screen, maybe a little bit of scrolling, either left and right or up and down, that's about when it's time for me to say, all right, it's time to put your big boy pants on and move over to Access. But yeah, see, 400,000 records, zips along nicely, no problem. Easily can handle 1 million, easily. Whoops, wrong button. Next up, Sandy Muhammad says he's got 11 different databases that all share common backend databases. From your videos, splitting the database is no longer the problem. The challenge is how to share the front end on the local network and online. Well, the local network, you said you already got working by splitting it, right, on your local network, your wired network. Online can be a challenge. It's because most of the databases are meant for use by different offices. Sometimes staff prefer to go home and complete their work from home. I totally get it. That arises the need for using SQL Server. Yes, definitely. You could definitely use SQL Server for that. You get yourself some online SQL Server hosting, whether it's through Azure or through a company like WinHost that I recommend. I got a whole video and a page on my website that explains all the different options. There's SharePoint, there's Access Database Cloud, there's Chrome Remote Desktop, there's SQL Server. This page will take you through all the different options, the easiest ways to get your Access database online so other people can use it. As far as your second question goes, the CBT exam database, that's definitely something you could set up in Access. I'll put it on my list and possibly put something together in the future. Lots of ideas that people will give me for different databases. Obviously, building something like this local in just Access would be relatively easy to do. If this is something where you want them to log in like in a classroom so that they can't cheat, right? But doing it online, again, you'd need SQL Server and some kind of a web-based solution, but it's definitely possible, sure. Pretty much anything is possible. It's just a question of how much time and work do you want to put into it. And live long and prosper to you too, sir. Oh, and I should also mention, if anyone else watching is also interested in seeing some kind of a CBT exam database for doing, stuff like that, post a comment down below. The more people that say they're interested in something, the higher up I bump it on the list. If it's just 1 or 2 people, all right, yeah, it's on the list. But if I get 30, 40 people saying, yeah, good idea, then okay, that gets pushed up the list. Next up, Dardiv says, could you make a tutorial how to display not only scheduled events and appointments in a formal report, but also the free time slots in between based on an employee's working hours? It could be very useful to see both the busy times and the available times for scheduling. Yeah, that's definitely possible. I don't have a TechHelp video, I don't think, that does that. Let me see. Well, now see, I got so many videos, even I forget. I have to Google search my own site sometimes to see if I've covered something. But it looks like I did cover this in an extended cut. So I've got an appointment database TechHelp video. This is the free part. And it's 4 years old. That's why I didn't remember it. But in the Gold Members extended cut, we do have appointment conflict resolution. And it'll tell you when the next available open time slot is. And if you try to put in an appointment in a time slot that there's already an appointment, it'll yell at you. So yes, I've already covered this. It's right here. You can sign up to be a gold member using that blue join button down below. And I also did something similar in my Access Developer 24 class. We build a reservation system. This one's based on reserving, I think it's reserving a hotel room or something like that. Similar to what you're talking about, but you can check for conflicts. If someone wants to reserve a room on this date, someone's already got the room, that kind of thing. So this course will check for that as well. I'll put links to all this stuff down below. And finally tonight, we got Shadow Dragon, one of my favorite commenters. Thanks for another great quick queries. Cat videos. I mentioned cat videos. I don't make millions on YouTube because I'm not making stupid cat videos, is what I said in the last one. And Shadow Dragon says, maybe you should add pictures or short vids of your puppies. That's a great idea. Here they are going for a car ride. They love car rides. That's Carter and Cooper, and that's me. And yes, we're stopped at a stop sign or a light. I don't take pictures while I'm driving. Here they are both in the crate. Now, they were both crate trained as baby puppies, but we haven't needed the crate for them because they're both 4 and 5 years old now. But my wife likes to foster. So every now and then she'll bring home a foster puppy for, a week or so. And these guys just still love getting in the crate. It used to be a threat, like if they were misbehaving, like, you want to get in your crate? And they just go and lay in it now, like, oh, I'm just going to go chill in the crate. So they love their crates. Here they are taking up the whole bed. And if you need to go to the bathroom, you better close the door because they're going to come in there and lay there and watch you. There's never a need to knock or ring the doorbell. They know you're here. I just love this picture. I don't know. It's one of my favorites. Excuse me, sir. It's 5:01 p.m. and we have not had dinner yet. And this is my favorite picture of Carter. He's my older dog. He's my first dog. When I met my wife, she had a dog already, a black lab. And I've always loved black labs, even ever since I was a kid. My uncle had one when I was growing up. I love that dog. And so Carter's my first dog. And he's a beautiful boy. I'm very proud of him. And of course, I love Cooper too. He's our younger dog. Carter was bored by himself, so Carter needed a puppy. So Cooper is technically Carter's puppy. And we call him Two Toy Coop because he always figures out a way to get two toys in his mouth. Here he's got a tennis ball and his ring toy. So they do have superpowers. They're both laser-eyed, so you got to watch out for that. And they do love to swim. They swim with penguins. No, this is actually, I gave ChatGPT a picture of my dogs in the pool swimming, and it came up with this. It's a beautiful picture. I have it as the backdrop on one of my laptops. And my wife and I have a thing for penguins, so I said, put penguins in the pool, and I put penguins in the background. It was really cool. AI is getting scary good at making pictures like this. But yeah, that's my puppies. I love my puppies, very proud of them. And occasionally, if you listen closely, you'll hear them bark in the back of a video once in a while. Especially if someone comes to the door when I'm not expecting it. Because I'll be honest, if it's a really good, I record my videos in short takes. I punch in and punch out instead of going back and trying to edit and stuff. And if it's a really good take, especially if it's one of my TechHelp videos or if it's one of my advanced developer videos, I don't really care if there's a bark in the background. I'm like, oh. It's like when someone beams in, right? You hear me say, oh, someone's beaming in. That's my half-hourly chime on my server computer. I think it's cool. I like it. I like background noises. I'm not trying to record in a sterile environment like I did when I first started doing this. Anyways, that's going to do it for Quick Queries 57. Let me know what you think of the new thumbnail here. All right, like I said, Rabid Followers comment kind of drove me to be like, yeah, you're right. I should probably put a little more on the thumbnail. I've been using the same Quick Queries thumbnail, I think, since episode 1. All right, so there's episode 1. And you know what? Actually, yeah, back in episode 1, I actually did put some of the topics on here. And then it evolved to this. And then I started getting colorful just to differentiate them a little bit more. And this is last week's. And now we're up to this one. Who knows what will be on by like Quick Queries 100? I don't know. But the reason why is because it's sometimes easier. I just do that. I start with just the title slide, and then I just go into the questions without even looking at them. But what I did today was I actually figured out what the first 2 questions were going to be, and then I slapped those on there. I figure I get the headline question or 2, right? The big ones. And then I'll make a title slide, and then I'll record the title slide, and then renumber it. Anyways, that's going to do it for Quick Queries number 57. I hope you learned something. Live long and prosper, my friends. I will see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button right now and give me a like. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. And make sure you click that bell icon and select all to receive notifications whenever I post a new video. Do you need help with your Microsoft Access project? Whether you need a tutor, a consultant, or a developer to build something for you, check out my Access Developer Network. It's a directory I put together personally of Access experts who can help with your project. Visit my website to learn more. Any links or other resources that I mentioned in the video can be found in the description text below the video. Just click on that Show More link right there. YouTube's pretty good about hiding that, but it's there. Just look for it. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, tables, all that stuff. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or my YouTube channel. I'll include a link below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? And if you like Level 1, Level 2 is just $1. That's it. And it's free for members of my YouTube channel at any level. Speaking of memberships, if you're interested in joining my channel, you get all kinds of awesome perks. Silver members get access to all of my extended cut TechHelp videos, and there's hundreds of them by now. They also get 1 free beginner class each month, and yes, those are for my full courses. Gold members get the previous perks plus access to download all of the sample databases that I build in my TechHelp videos, Plus, you get access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions and all kinds of source code that I use. And gold members get one free expert class every month after completing the beginner series. Platinum members get all of the previous perks, plus they get all of my beginner courses, all of them from every subject, and you get one free advanced or developer class every month after finishing the expert series. And you can become a diamond sponsor and have your name listed on the sponsor page on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time.